A couple months ago, I posted a video on why I was worried about the upcoming Obi-Wan TV show. In that video, I discussed my concerns with how the show looked in the trailer and how the cast and crew were describing the story. So obviously I had to make a follow-up and review the show. Time to see if my worries were in fact justified, or that I was just a whiny, pessimistic fanboy. Well, the show came out, I watched all 6 episodes, and yeah, it's not good. Sorry guys. A part of me was really hoping that I was just a whiny fanboy and all of my worries were for nothing, but I genuinely couldn't get into this show, no matter how hard I tried. I don't think there was a single episode I liked all the way through, and that's really disappointing. This was the thing that Star Wars fans have been asking for since Rogue One came out, and the idea of exploring Obi-Wan's time between episodes 3 and 4, his adjustment to his new life, and the trauma over his past, could have been a really good story. But sadly the show kind of botches that, and everything just feels half-assed, like not a lot of effort was put into the story or the direction. But look, I know there are genuine fans of this show, and good for you. I'm glad you were able to find some kind of enjoyment in this. So of course I'm going to say some good things about this show, because it actually does have some good things in it. With all that being said, let's get into it.
Hello there.
Ewan McGregor is back as the titular character of this show, and I gotta say, I love seeing him in this role. He just falls back into it as if it were yesterday. He sells every thought and emotion going through Obi-Wan's head perfectly, through his facial expressions and body language. So it's sad that he's let down by the writing. I think the characterization of Obi-Wan is okay. I did say in my previous video that I wanted Lonely One Kenobi, and I got him. I wanted to see Obi-Wan struggling with his past and faith in his mission, and see him go on a journey of coming to peace with himself. And while McGregor manages to sell that troubled state of mind, the way it's written leaves a lot to be desired. I believe they took Obi-Wan's troubles a little too far, like really cutting down his force powers and having him bury his lightsaber in the desert. That's less like someone who's going through a struggle and more like someone who's just given up completely. That just doesn't seem like Obi-Wan to me. Sam Witwer, who voices Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels, discusses Maul's interactions with Kenobi in Twin Sons.
Sparks his lightsaber, that immediately makes Obi-Wan react. So what does Obi-Wan do? Hard feelings. Ewan McGregor. You hear the Force theme and Obi-Wan realizes, I'm not this guy anymore, I'm this guy. And he becomes Alec Guinness. And the moment that he hits Maul so quickly, Maul realizes, oh my goodness, I've misread this. This is not a failed Jedi. This is not a hopeless man in the desert. This is a Jedi Master who is on active duty.
But the thing is, we don't see how McGregor's Obi-Wan transforms into this Obi-Wan. The story tries to put Obi-Wan through an arc, but it's never really clear as to why he goes from weak and broken to being back to his old self in the span of one bath. Seriously, what is it with these shows and back-to-tanks? We don't see why or how he's returned to his full strength. He just has. Then there's the biggest offense in this show that many writers fall prey to when writing an action-adventure story. They made Obi-Wan a passive protagonist. For those who are unaware, a passive protagonist is someone who only does things in the story because they're told to, and not because of their own decision-making. He's told by Bail Organa to save Leia, implying he has no choice. He's told to take the cargo ship to escape with Leia, instead of thinking that for himself. Tala tells him to get to Jabim. He only goes to Fortress Inquisitorius, stupid name, because of previously being told to save Leia. Obi-Wan gets moved forward by the plot, rather than him moving the plot forward. And this is such a boring way to write a character. It essentially makes Obi-Wan less vital to the plot. Basically, anyone could have done this job. If the other characters are the ones doing most of the heavy lifting, then why should we care about Obi-Wan? Now granted, he does eventually become an active protagonist around the last 2 episodes, where he starts making choices that impact the plot, such as surrendering to Reva and buying the refugees more time, or luring Vader away to that rock planet. I think that's why I liked him most in those episodes, but the damage has been done. When your title character doesn't feel like your main character, clearly something is wrong. But I will tell you who is an active character in this show.
I will take Kenobi in myself. You are no longer required, sister.
I brought Kenobi here.
God, these guys suck in everything they're in. This show has a heavy focus on Reva and the other Inquisitors, and it is not the better for it. Reva is a new character played by Moses Ingram. Now, besides a few questionable acting choices,
tell me where the Jedi is, or this man and his family die!
I think Moses Ingram does a decent job in this show. I know she faced a lot of racist backlash by a handful of fans when the first 2 episodes came out, and yeah, that was messed up. That shouldn't have happened. To be honest, I don't really blame her for why this character doesn't work. It's mostly because she's written so badly that no actress can save this. Now, I'll admit, on paper, Reva's story of revenge could have been really good. A surviving youngling secretly working her way through the ranks to get her revenge on Vader. That's a good story, I'd watch that. But it's hard to relate to her when she's not written as a compelling character. She's doing this to avenge her friends at the temple, but she's still okay with cutting down Jedi and revealing the path for helping Force-sensitive kids. She herself was a victim of Vader's cruelty to younglings, and yet she still has no trouble torturing 10-year-old Leia for information. She acts like her mission is just and righteous, but her actions say the complete opposite. She's constantly trying to rise in the ranks as an Inquisitor, but she does this in such an aggressive and combative way that doesn't seem smart, always challenging her authority figures and always trying to upstage the other Inquisitors, including her boss. Clearly, she's never heard of the benefits of being popular in the office. Maybe if you got on with your co-workers, you might get that promotion. The character only seems smart because she's either extremely lucky or because the other Inquisitors come off as idiots. The thing that starts off this entire adventure is Reva's plan to kidnap Leia and use her as bait to lure out Obi-Wan. And the reason she chooses Leia as her victim is because Obi-Wan served Bail Organa in the Clone Wars. Except... no, he didn't. We had an entire show dedicated to the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan rarely interacted with Bail Organa, if ever. The only time they properly worked together was in Revenge of the Sith, and there is no way in hell that would have been kept on record. So this evidence just doesn't make any sense. And then there's episode 3. When she discovers the Path hideout, she just finds it. There were no indicators that was there, she just knows. Reva just seems to be lucky as hell when it comes to her mission. It's almost as if one of her force powers is just knowing the plot. As for the other Inquisitors, they are heavily dumbed down in order to make Reva look better. Like I said in my previous video, the Inquisitors are just cartoon villains, and that hasn't changed here. Anything that was cool about them in Rebels is stripped away. Take this bit. At the end of episode 2, Obi-Wan and Leia have escaped on a cargo ship that Reva clearly sees them getting on. Now, I'm no detective, but I'm pretty sure there would be some kind of manifest or schedule the Inquisitors can look at to know exactly where it's going. But no, Reva is the only one to actually do that.
He's in one of the mining systems.
You do not know that.
He could be anywhere. I traced the manifest.
For God's sake, I thought of that. These guys literally hunt Jedi down for a living. And then in the finale, after her plan to kill Vader has failed, she walks off her stab wound and decides to go to Tatooine to kill Luke Skywalker. It's not explained why she does this or what she hopes to achieve, but she goes anyway. And then, when she's about to kill Luke, she just decides to stop being evil. I know it's meant to be that she sees her younger self in Luke and that's why she can't kill him, but considering all she's done before and a complete lack of build-up of her regretting her actions, this redemption just doesn't feel earned. There just doesn't seem to be any consistency with her. Reva is a perfect example of how a good idea can be wasted when handled poorly. And speaking of characters handled poorly...
An Aquilian ranger, probably scouting for Merson pirates.
A big surprise to everyone was the inclusion of Princess Leia. While the trailers suggested a focus on Luke, he only shows up in 2 episodes. And to be honest, I really would have preferred that. While Vivian Lyra Blair does a very good job in this show, in terms of child actresses, she knocks it out of the park. I really think the focus should have been more on Luke. That's the relationship that should have been built. A lot of people have been saying that no strong relationship was implied between Obi-Wan and Luke in A New Hope. Well, Obi-Wan had more of an implied relationship with Luke than Leia, and the fact that they did know each other makes these scenes in A New Hope look really weird. Why is she speaking to him in such a formal manner? Why doesn't she care when he dies? The head writer of the show said that Leia's inclusion was always part of the plan. But why? Ignoring how this affects continuity, it really undermines Luke's importance to the whole Star Wars narrative, and the importance of Obi-Wan's role as his protector. Remember how in Rebels, Obi-Wan fights Maul only because he's close to finding out about Luke, and so Maul can't leave there alive? Well, none of that concern is present here, he just flat out leaves. The show just keeps insisting that Leia is just as important as Luke. But again, why does Obi-Wan need to be told that? It's not his job to protect her. That's yours. Having Having Obi-Wan abandon his post and leave Luke defenseless kinda suggests that she's more important and that Luke doesn't need protection at all, even though he's on a far more hostile planet compared to her. Having Obi-Wan have this cute relationship with Leia makes his role as Luke's protector look like a chore, like he would rather be with her instead. So yeah, she feels incredibly unnecessary, and once again, Disney can't deliver on a good Luke Skywalker story. But there is one character they usually do deliver with.
Anakin.
Okay, Darth Vader was actually done pretty well. I mean, say what you want about Disney Star Wars, but whenever Vader shows up, whatever the quality of the movie or show, he makes it better. They have done this character well, and I'm happy to say that's the same for this show. Whenever he appeared, I felt a sigh of relief. Finally, a cool character. They nailed his ruthlessness, his intimidation factor, and his power. Also, it's just great to see Hayden back. The flashback to when Anakin was a Padawan was just so fun to see. The duel they have in this scene is really good, and Hayden seems to have picked up a few mannerisms from how Anakin was portrayed in Clone Wars. I'm definitely getting that vibe from his performance. However, I have to say, despite Hayden Christensen being back, I feel he's really wasted in this show. The promotional material was centered around Ewan and Hayden reuniting for this show, and in the span of 6 episodes, we get Hayden for roughly 5 minutes. You didn't even need to put him in the suit, you could have gotten literally any tall guy to do that. I feel like they should have given more screen time to Hayden. You could have cut out a lot of stuff just for him. That's what the fans wanted. But yeah, Obi-Wan and Vader get 2 fights in this show. First one is boring and not very well shot. I really don't like shaky cam. But the second one is so much better. I will admit that I really enjoyed seeing these two fight each other again. Something in my little prequel fanboy heart jumped at that sight. The choreography is well done and it's shot better, less shaky cam, especially when compared to the first one. However, I said in my previous video that every lightsaber fight has to mean something. There's always a purpose for why it's happening, whether it's deciding a path a character may go down or what will happen to the galaxy. But these fights don't really have any meaning. They don't affect the character in any way. You could say it's Obi-Wan trying to reach out to Anakin one last time, but it's basically the exact same thing as Revenge of the Sith, minus the lava. Obi-Wan trying to reach out but Anakin refusing, and the fight ending with Obi-Wan triumphant. Only this time it makes less sense, because Obi-Wan just straight up leaves the fight. I know Vader's breathing apparatus was broken, but if you've read any of the Vader comics, you'd know that's just a setback for him. So yeah, I will admit I did enjoy seeing these two fight, but only on a nostalgic level, which can only get you so far. There's no real meaning behind this fight, and so it doesn't really warrant its own existence.
And also you love, what I also love about you is you love action so much in your bones. You're like, can I have a few more stormtroopers?
I really liked killing stormtroopers.
Like I said in my previous video, I was not happy with how action-driven this show was going to be. But I figured since Deborah Chow was behind the camera, at least the action will be good. But unfortunately, it's really not that good. Besides a few good scenes, particularly in the last 2 episodes, the action isn't really that well directed. Some of the fights aren't choreographed that well, and the constant use of shaky cam really annoys me. People want to see lightsaber fights clearly, and if the action isn't poorly shot, it's just laughable. Take the scene where 3 adult goons couldn't catch a little girl. She has little legs, you have big boy legs, use them! Or when Tala does this. This is not something you expect in Star Wars. It just feels like Deborah Chow didn't bring her A-game to this show. Her previous work on The Mandalorian was great, and besides 2 good lightsaber fights, this feels amateurish at best. I've made it pretty clear so far that I think the writers on this show failed to do their job. This show was supposed to bridge the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. This should have been an amazing character-focused story around a beloved character and a beloved actor, but instead we got a bloated story full of many different characters where Obi-Wan himself doesn't feel like the main one. We don't see his transition into Alec Guinness's portrayal of the character. He simply goes through an ordeal to end up exactly where we left him in Revenge of the Sith. And then they have the audacity to tease the story many fans actually wanted to see in the last 5 minutes. A lot of franchises pull this trick and I'm sick of it. This is something that I felt could have been amazing and it ends up being lazy and generic. The one project Star Wars fans have been demanding for years is just treated like an obligation with no love at all, and that's just really sad to see. So yeah, those are my opinions on Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know this show has its fans, and I'm happy for you. That's not a joke. I'm not trying to ruin something you love. I'm merely expressing an opinion as a Star Wars fan who feels like the higher-ups treated this like a product than an actual story. And hey, when you think about it, you guys got a show that you loved and I didn't. So who's the real winner here? Anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you want to see more Star Wars content, then I just wrapped up a series of videos discussing Anakin and Luke's reflective character arcs, so check that out. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, hit that bell icon for more notifications, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good day.